Hello there, it's January 5th, 2021. Woohoo! Here we are for our weekly online global practice for reviving the global heart. And it's great to see you. I hope you had a good transition from 2020 to 2021. And I've been telling everyone in my world, wishing you all love, light, and hope for this coming year. And I really want to focus on the hope part, and not from a make believe kind of like fairy tale kind of place, but more from an open heart kind of place of just saying, just presenting the possibility of good things coming in. And on one level, may all of the challenges we've experienced, I'm not saying we're out of it. It's not like magic has happened and we're out of where we're in, but we've certainly, and this is of course a mental construct time, like we're delineating December 31st to January 1st. In the cosmos, that's of course just a silly mind game, but in the mind game, it's a moment to just reflect on what's happened and where we're going. And my wish is for you and for me and for all of us that everything we've experienced this year, that we can take time to contemplate that and integrate it and distill out the teachings in that, which can only make us more resourceful, resilient, and I would think more compassionate moving into 2021. So I want to just offer that, and that's what we're here, of course, to do every week, is to gather in community, to be of support to one another, sharing similar values, or resonating with our highest values of compassion, respect, dignity, equity, love, wisdom, understanding, and seeing that if we want to be part of a movement towards our healing and reconciliation, we need to cultivate the resilience and the fortitude and the perseverance and the compassion to figure out new solutions. And of course, the fundamental new solution I present is that if only hanging out with people who already agree with you were going to solve our world problems, we would have already solved our world problems. So if that is, if that isn't necessarily the solution, then let's just look at the other possibility, because there's many, but just one possibility, that the solution is finding ways to engage with people that we don't usually engage with. And as we look at that, we delineate that between loved ones, strangers, and adversaries. And so there's the active external way of connecting with others. And then there's the internal work, is how do we make ourselves more resourceful, how do we nourish ourselves with, I would call, spiritual nourishment. It's not based on any religion or spirituality or movement, but just this idea of our highest values resonating with this, connoting that with the word spiritual. How do we nourish us in a world that is so technologically nourished, over gorged in a sense, where a lot of our focus is on data and information and success and profit and technology? What can we do to actually increase our own spiritual nourishment? And as we feel more spiritually nourished, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically, then we just naturally, I believe, resonate with a presence that can create more safety and trust to bring in more people, to have more of the challenging conversations, and to do the necessary work of bridging. So that is, in a sense, the philosophy that I'm developing with Fierce Civility, this new book that I'm writing, as well as a way of seeing how we can move into the world and actually resolve and soften some of the extremes of the rigidity of our gridlock, of our polarization. We're exploring that with the 8 ailments and 8 remedies of a global heart that is not well. That is maybe a global heart that may be technologically proficient, but spiritually deficient and not well nourished. And how can we contribute to that? And it has to do with looking at our own patterns. How do we do our own internal work of our own internal polarizations. And so we've been in this process of sharing with you, and I want to continue that, if I may, of identifying in this sense of a world system where it might not be spiritually, where it might be spiritually malnourished. Each one of us have symptoms that manifest from that. And as I've named them before, I'll name them again. And if someone's willing to maybe type them into the chat, that would be helpful. That we find ourselves on different levels experiencing a sense of inner storm, paralysis, fear, separation, isolation, arrogance, self-righteousness, and greed. Oh, Ben, look at you. Go, Ben. And that what we're examining is that on some level, each one of us, and maybe I'm not even aware of it, and maybe more than others, and it's not good or bad. When you get a cold, you're not bad. It's simply you have a cold. So, if you find that this resonates with you, and we're looking at each ailment, and I'm offering a remedy, and this idea that the remedy is something that through practice, of continual practice and contemplation, you can shift the ailment into a more beneficial way of being. We've already explored two. We explored inner storm, and that the remedy was, just going to say this quickly, and if you want, we can have these presented on YouTube if you missed these and you wanted to see some of these. But the inner storm is the first ailment, and the remedy for that is I cultivate concentration, resilience, and can adapt to a changing world. And in the process of repeating that and feeling that in your heart and feeling it in your body, that's a way of shifting the pattern of inner storm to one of more of a sense of I cultivate concentration, resilience, and can adapt to a changing world. The second one we did was paralysis, how we suffer from paralysis. And the remedy was, I recognize in each moment that I have control and power over my own thoughts, words, and actions. That in a state of paralysis, where can you find power? You can always find power and control in your own thoughts, words, and actions. I want to explore the third one, which is fear, and how that plays out. And I add to that a sense of fear in terms of powerlessness, and also a sense of feeling like a victim, sense of victimhood. And I want to clarify, when I say victim, I'm not talking about people who are victimized, who are harmed. And if that's the case, please know that, and there are people, many people on this planet who are harmed in domestic relationships, being bullied. There are groups of people, races of people who are oppressed and harmed and abused. There are a whole gender, you could say. So I'm not talking about that in terms of where people are really where there are perpetrators and people who are real victims. I'm talking about the state of being that we get ourselves in, where we believe that we are a victim and no longer feel that we can find our power within ourselves. I know that is something that I've worked with all my life. I'm not sure you have. Again, it's not a good or a bad thing, but this idea of how does fear play a part in our day-to-day lives, which is not allowing us to access our full power, our vitality, our gifts, and to have the impact in the world we would like to have. Certainly our resilience, fear and powerlessness. And the remedy is, and I just want to say, as we go along, some of this medicine, like little droplets of medicine, they might taste a little less tasty each time we go on. So if it triggers you in a certain way, then know the medicine is working, and that's the purpose. So in this one, the medicine is, in each moment, the remedy to overcome fear, powerlessness, and victimhood is, in each moment, I create safety within myself. I know my worth. I have an impact. And I see that my suffering doesn't give me the right to harm you. So that for me is the remedy of fear, powerlessness, and victimhood. Is in each moment I create safety within myself, know my worth, and have an impact. And I see that my suffering doesn't give me the right to harm you. And I just bring that up in terms of patterns that we find ourselves in. What if we can, if we do feel victimized, what if we can feel within ourselves an internal sense of power? What if we can clarify our own boundaries and claim our own space? And again, this might trigger some trauma, in terms of moments in your life, your childhood or whatever, where you haven't been given the right to have your own space. And therefore it might be hitting you in a certain way. And I've had to do my own work with this. But the purpose of this is to just consider, how might you still be playing out patterns now that aren't necessary? That there's a way of rewiring that. And if you wanted to talk with me or with please get in touch afterwards. I would love to talk with you about this. But that the first thing to consider is, how can you create your own level of safety? Setting up your own boundaries and being able to stand fierce in defending and protecting your boundaries and claiming your own space on this planet. We may not have a right to a whole landmass or a villa, as I say, but what I believe what we do have a right to is our own personal space. And how can we stand more firmly in that? I believe that when we can stand more firmly in that, then we are less dependent on what other people are doing or saying. And therefore don't give them as much power. And in the process of feeling more embodied within yourself, of your own sense of, I claim my space, I set my boundaries, I determine what is safe or what isn't safe, you can move through the world with more confidence. And in that, you can find that you can actually connect more. One way to feel safe is the quote that I've often used by Gabor Mate, the founder of Compassionate Inquiry. I know Keith has done a lot of work with him and with them. Is safety is not the absence of danger. Safety is the presence of connection. And that there's one level of safety where, yes, more on a more mental level or a more spatial relationship sense of, I want to be safe. I want to make sure there's not something in my environment that can threaten my safety. But there's a deeper level of safety, the more emotional safety, or more that could be triggered to past trauma, is to find a way to rewire so that you can feel an internal sense of feeling connected to yourself, to others, and your surroundings. And in that level of cultivating true sense of connection, which we do in this practice, that creates this level of safety, which I believe can overcome some of the patterning that we have around fear and victimhood and powerlessness. So this is an important element. Another thing to say is, as you clarify your core values, as you know your personal philosophy, as you know clearly who you are and who you are in your highest and what your gifts are, that also creates a sense of empowerment. And that there's always, and that you are unique on this planet, and that you are a unique gift to this planet. And that maybe you're not going to run a whole country, or you're not going to create a whole movement, but in your day-to-day life, how can you be an impact to others based on your own personal philosophy and standing strong in that? That can inspire so many when you stand strongly. And this is a way, again, of rewiring this idea of victimhood or paralysis or fear. In each moment, I cultivate safety within myself, know my worth, and have an impact. So this is part of the rewiring. That last part, I see that my suffering doesn't give me the right to harm you, is that oftentimes when we fall into this place of claiming victimhood, it gives us permission to harm others. And I believe that's a big part of our polarization, is that how we justify harm other people's suffering because we feel that we've been harmed and we've been suffering. And yes, people should hurt people. Yes, beautiful. Thanks, Ben. Yes, people who commit crime there should be justice done. We should advocate for people who do harm, that they should, but our need for revenge or our need for them to be harmed isn't even about them anymore. It's about you and your process. That on some level, it's eating you up. The Buddha has said, that in one of his teachings, that holding on to anger and resentment and the justification of harming others is like holding a hot coal in your hand. The only one who's really suffering from it is you, in a sense, on that level. And that's the purpose of rewiring the fear, the powerlessness, and the victimhood, is for your own benefit. And that there's an enormous power in forgiveness. And that forgiveness doesn't mean that, again, that you let people get away with what they've done. The forgiveness is more for you to let go. Because in a sense, a lot of times when we hold on to this victim place, we continue to perpetuate the harm that was done to us to ourselves, in a sense. And I want to just bring this up to be thinking about this, and that to be thinking, where might you be harming others because you feel justified that you've been harmed? And yes, you may not go out and murder someone, but your thoughts of wanting to murder someone may not be as bad as actually doing it, but it's still having an impact on you that's keeping you in the cycle of fear, victimhood, and powerlessness. Or your words, that it's not just in the deeds. So to find in those ways, where might you be doing the same? And I'm not saying this from a place of I'm done with all this. I'm in it. I'm in it on a moment-to-moment basis, and I'm trying my best to overcome my conditioning that have manifested in the ailments of victimhood, fear, and paralysis. And I've got a long way to go. So I'm offering this to you as we bring this into our practice, that the remedy, I'll say one more time, and then we'll start our practice. And thank you I really appreciate your generosity, your willingness to sit through this and listen to this. I appreciate and being open to this. So once again, the remedy for victimhood, fear, and powerlessness is, in each moment, I create safety within myself. I know my worth, and I have an impact. I see that my suffering doesn't give me the right to harm you. So let's start our practice, and afterwards we can reflect on this. If you have some comments or questions, or other ways of maybe looking at it. So once again, we're going to start in power sit, where you're sitting, not leaning back at the edge of the chair, but sitting more with so that your spine can be straight. And remember, in this practice, we're cultivating presence, awareness, balance, and flow. And the most effective way to allow presence, balance, and flow to move through us is to sit in a way where your spine is straight without being rigid, creating space between the vertebrae, elongating from the back of your neck. Relax your jaw, relax your shoulders, relax your belly. Power sit, bringing your attention to your core, your center, which is approximately the width of 3 fingers below your navel and a third of the way into the body from the front of the body. So bringing your attention to that spot, somewhere in your lower belly, the width of 3 fingers below your navel, a third of the way into the body from the front. Your center, your core, personal power, your center of awareness. Remembering there's no right way to do this exercise, there's no wrong way. There's about finding your way. From your center, becoming aware of your contact points, noticing the parts of your body that are connecting with what's supporting you, the chair, cushion, the floor. Trusting the stability of the floor and the chair and the cushion, and the more trust you have, your nervous system has in that stability, the more you can yield and drop in and let yourself be held. So let yourself be held, supported. On some level, claiming your space. Where I currently sit, I have a right to this space right now. I claim it. Becoming aware in your core, noticing how charged your battery is. Remember thinking of your core as a battery. That you can feel secure in every moment of the day, that you are resilient, vital, and effective if you always know that your battery is charged. So how charged is your battery now? Like 10%, 20%, 80%. Just do an inventory. From your center, become aware of your physical body. Checking in with that level of sense of, on a physical level, your level of physical safety at this moment. From your core. On some level, connecting to your reptilian brain, your lower brain, which basically is in charge of, that's what their task is, the lower brain, to keep you safe. From your center, become aware of your emotional body. And on some level, what's your emotional safety at this moment? From your center, become aware of your thoughts, your mental body. What does mental safety look like or feel like? Maintaining a connection with your core, your personal power. Now bringing awareness to your heart or the middle of your chest, your heart center, where your heart power resides. And let's say this is where your highest values reside, your own personal philosophy. That which connects you with your highest and best self. That which connects you with your worth. Feeling a sense of igniting your heart, your worth. With awareness of from your center and from your heart, become aware of that part of you that connects with something larger than yourself. And in this moment, how do you feel connected at this moment to something larger than yourself? With more of an awareness of yourself in this present moment, determining your level of safety and worth from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow. From your center and from your heart, keeping your eyes closed, become aware of your surroundings. Now, as you cultivate relationship with your surroundings in this present moment, determining your level of safety in relationship to your surroundings. Determining your level of how much space you take up in relationship to your surroundings. With more of an awareness of yourself and your surroundings in this present moment, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. With more of an awareness of yourself and your surroundings in this present moment, from your center and from your heart, keeping your eyes closed, become aware of those who are currently sharing this practice with you in this meditation circle. Various parts of North America, various parts of Europe, perhaps other parts of the world. And as you open up to a connection, imagine we're all sitting in circle perhaps. First determining your level of safety in this moment as you engage with this group of people. From your core and from your heart. Connecting with their core and their heart. And as you consider your level of safety, as you consider your level of worth, now consider your level of impact. Just being present, just being you. How might you be impacting these people? How might they be impacting you? From your highest self, your highest values. With more of an awareness of yourself, your surroundings, and those in this meditation circle, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Maintaining a connection with yourself, your surroundings, and those in this meditation circle, maintaining a connection with your level of safety, sense of worth, the impact you are having. As you now, from your center and from your heart, become aware of all human beings. First beginning with those human beings that you would label loved ones. So who arises in your heart? Who do you see in your mind's eye? You might see specific faces or groups of people. With the support from this meditation circle and your own internal sense of safety and worth, engaging with those you would call loved ones. And just imagine that saying to them, but just as I say this, as you engage with them, in each moment I create safety within myself, know my worth, and have an impact. I see that my suffering doesn't give me the right to harm you. Let them hear that message. I see that my suffering doesn't give me the right to harm you. They might nod. They might have a reaction. And now bringing your attention to those that you would label stranger. Who arises in your heart? How many strangers, even though there's probably billions, how many can you hold in your heart at this moment? Groups of people, specific faces. And as you stand face to face with them, from your center and from your heart, declaring to them, in each moment I create safety within myself, know my worth, and have an impact. I see that my suffering doesn't give me the right to harm you. Watch them receive that message. Let them witness you saying this. Notice what's going on, energy that's moving through you, emotions, all feelings are welcome. And always remember, if you're feeling a little frightened or insecure, come back to your own level of safety or come back to this meditation circle for support. And from your center and from your heart, becoming aware of those human beings that you would label adversary. Notice what happens to your heart in this moment. Who arises in your heart? Do you see faces? Don't hold back. What happened to your level of safety? What happened to your level of self-worth and belief that you can have an impact? And from a place of internal power within your personal power and the power of your heart, your highest values, imagine saying to each one of them, in each moment I create safety within myself, know my worth, and have an impact. I see that my suffering doesn't give me the right to harm you. Watch them receive that message. Watch your own responses, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And with more of an awareness of yourself, surroundings, those in this meditation circle, and all human beings, regardless of how you label them as loved one, stranger, or adversary, take a deep breath in, deep into your heart, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Notice the effects of this practice up to this moment, your nervous system, your sense of expansion, your heart, your level of safety, worth, and impact, forgiveness, personal philosophy, and highest values. Take that into that level of expansion, taking all human beings into your heart as you now bring your awareness back to the meditation circle, to those in this meditation circle. Let yourself be seen. Taking those in this meditation circle into your heart as you bring your awareness back to your space. And always imagine making this a moment-to-moment practice, always engaging with your space from the question of how safe do I feel in this moment? How much space do I allow myself to take up in this moment? Taking your surroundings into your heart as you bring your awareness back to yourself. Filling up your core, your battery. Continuing to allow this practice to ignite your heart. Nourishing each one of your cells. Nourishing your organs. Letting this seep deep into your nervous system so you remember this, new neural pathways. As a way to close this practice, let's take one final breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Slowly open your eyes and imagine that before you do anything else, you can stretch, but just imagine what you're experiencing right now, the benefits of this practice. Imagine if you can anchor this and walk this out into the world. Who you are right now. So shake the body a little bit, stretch. So we started with a motivation, we did our practice, and now we have time to reflect. Anybody want to share your impressions? Christine, thanks for your acronym. She's from the DC area, so we're really good here with acronyms. She says fear, you could say false evidence appearing real, or forgive everyone and rise. I do want to say that when you've worked through the ailment with the remedy, what arises in you is an embodied, integrated sense of confidence, impact, and mercy. Just a natural, spontaneous, embodied sense of mercy, impact, and confidence. So any thoughts on the talk I gave or on the practice itself? Oh, Charlie gives a different perspective. Okay. F everything and run. That is, yeah, that's usually the basic nervous system response to fear. Yeah. And sometimes that's good wisdom. So thanks.
I experience that as so incredibly grounding in a very spiritual way. And I don't usually experience my spirituality in that way. It feels so embodied and so grounded. It was very comforting
Mm.
and clear.
Mm.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you,
Gratitude.
Tia. I appreciate that. That's always been my mission is, for all of us who have the privilege to have a spiritual practice and do retreats and all of that, the privilege of that. How do we anchor that and embody that into a moment to moment so we can start giving back to those who don't have that privilege? Thank you.
When you were talking about the people who are adversaries, I thought of what's going on in the world. Of course, DC is pretty active these days. And I also thought about the difference between responding and reacting, and how reacting is our neurological system doing what it does, and our response is what we say or do in response to how we feel in our reactions. Very different.
Thank you. Good wisdom. Yeah. And just to connect it with this practice, the more we do this practice, the more we are present and therefore can make choices. That before we're reacting, we actually can take a breath, notice what's getting activated, and in that moment make a different choice from reacting to responding. Silas, it's so good to see you. Any thoughts on the practice?
I feel plenty safe, but I don't have anything to share.
Okay.
It's good to see everyone. It's good to be in this space.
You look plenty warm too.
My basement is very cold, so I just dress for the Arctic down here.
Well, if that were a window behind you, maybe just close the window.
Joe?
Yeah.
This is Michael. I was meditating on the phrase there, suffering doesn't give me the right to harm you. And just realizing that as far as change is concerned, that suffering for all of us, but especially men, is the last ditch effort to help us change. That suffering does it. It helps us be aware that change is possible, that I have to change. So instead of seeing it as something to harm others, to see suffering as an opportunity for me to change my patterns in life and live wholesomely.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Beautiful.
Thank you for this morning, Joe. I really needed this. Had a rough couple of weeks. I lost my mother-in-law last month, just before Christmas. We got word this weekend that a good friend of ours took their life, and a dear neighbor of mine passed yesterday morning.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been a trying time emotionally. And when you're talking about my harm, I don't have a right to harm you. It just makes me think of my friend Jason and how hurting he must have been to have felt like the only option was to drive 8 hours from home and jump off of a bridge. I don't know. I'm angry at him. I'm angry that he took that route. But at the same time, I'm so sad for him. How could he have gotten that sad to have felt like a permanent solution to a temporary problem was the way to go? It's, I don't know. When you ask about our adversaries, generally not much comes up. I don't really have adversary feelings towards most people. You know, I generally try to forgive. I try to love people. I try to understand that people are going through things, and when people are saying mean things, it's not about me, it's about them. But in that particular moment, I think Jason came to mind. I'm angry, you know. I'm angry that the world made him so sad that he felt he had to leave. He had so much going for him, but it just goes to show you don't know what's going on behind those closed doors. So thank you very much for this. I needed this morning.
Thank you, Jennifer, and thank you for sharing that from your heart. Do you mind sharing the names of the people that you mentioned?
Yes, my mother-in-law is Linda Ham. She passed on December 8th. My neighbor is Eva Say. She passed away yesterday morning. She's been our neighbor since I was about 3 years old, so a long time friend. And Jason Vincent, he was the president of the Norwich Community Development Corporation, and a partner for Epicure Brewing down in Norwich. He's
So we'll hold them.
going to be missed by a lot of people.
Yeah, we'll
They
hold.
all are.
Yeah, we'll hold them in our hearts.
Thank you very much.
And you know, that's just a quick thing, is that, you know, that's the whole, if you think about this idea of connection, it's why it's so important to reach out. We don't know what people are going through, and if we make an effort, especially in this time in the winter, it's dark and all of that, and what we're going through, to make an extra effort to reach out, you never know, that could literally save someone's life. One more thing, anybody want to share? Just a quick last reflection.
I want to thank everybody, because I could experience today the difference between practicing by myself and practicing in a circle. I've been practicing a lot these past days, but today I felt like I wanted to share this with somebody else. And I thank everybody, and you, Joe, for this possibility, for this opportunity. It's quite another thing.
Thank you. Well, that's a good segue into keep coming back. It's a blessing for all of you coming. It's a blessing for me, particularly those of you who are coming back on a regular basis. It's a double blessing for those of you who are coming back who I haven't seen for a while. It's great to see you. Remember that we're now, even though we offer this free of charge, we do ask for a donation. So from your heart, if you're feeling compelled to want to share, if this has worth for you, and to support us, Todd just put the link in the chat for a donation. All donations go to the Fear Civility Project, which is built on this work, creating bridges, healing, and reconciliation. So feel free to share if you like from your heart. If you want to engage more with this kind of community, we're offering events through the Weston network. We're currently doing, as I said, Tori and Shelley are leading a workshop, 4-session workshop online on the 4 pillars of resilient power, about how to connect with your own authentic power and move through the world more confidently and effectively with that. And we're here every week. As I say, tell people about it. Feel free to invite other people. So we started with our motivation. We did our practice. We had a chance to reflect. Let's do our dedication to all. May the benefits of what we have generated here seep into each person, that they find within themselves that sense of safety, that sense of worth, that they find within themselves the courage to reach out for help when needed. To the 3 people in Jennifer's life, sending them blessings. Continuing to send our blessings to frontline workers, healthcare providers, people in supermarkets who are doing the noble, courageous work of keeping us safe and stable and well-fed. And may all beings on this planet have enough fresh water to drink and food to eat. And may all governments govern from a place of wisdom as opposed to fear and greed. Next week we were having a guest. No, 2 weeks. The next week?
Next week.
We'll have a guest next week. So please come. Paul Swearing, a sweet, sweet man who's doing an amazing work in the world, courageous work in the world. So see you next week. Be well. Again, get in touch if you have any questions. You can get in touch with us at info@respectfulconfrontation.com or any one of our websites if you have any questions or about our session. And be well.
Thank you, Joe.
Bye-bye.